on Conversations, I have a very exciting guest. Virginia Warren joins me today. Virginia is a lawyer, a speaker, an author, and a conflict alchemist. She has a diploma in yoga teaching, which came out of a funny story, encountering a pair of leopard print heels that we will find out a little bit more about today in this conversation, hopefully. She's also the author of the book, Let's Kiss All the Lawyers Said No One Ever. It's a book addressing the increasing discontent and disconnect within the legal profession and amongst lawyers. Virginia, thank you so much for having a chat with me today on Conversations. I really appreciate your time. And I was just saying how lovely you look today. So I just want to say that again because you look very lovely today. So let's start off with this funny story about these these leopard print shoes and how you ended up in the yoga studio. Tell us a bit more about that.
Oh, yes. As I like to say in life, there are no accidents. And this day I was walking down Main Street, Mornington. Dressed up in my suit, leopard print heels, looking fine for work. Lunch break it was, and I was at the pedestrian crossing, and out of nowhere I fall down, and there I am on my hands and knees in the middle of the crossing, really hoping the stripes would open up and swallow me whole. It was that embarrassing. So yeah, down I went, dignity and all. And I got up from there and went to see my chiropractor, and he said to me, I need to do some yoga to repair my bruised ego and knees. Apparently there'd be no more Zumba for me anymore. And yeah, I know. And I thought, yoga, that'll be like watching paint dry. You know, it just wasn't my thing. So I thought, look, I'll dutifully go off there and do that yoga for him, because that seemed to be the solution. And then, you know, I got into the studio and I just felt at home. And I really wanted to know why at the end of that class. I mean, I was pretty terrible at it. But I wanted to know why I felt so good by the end of the class. And, you know, why a few stretches and breaths and some of the yogic speak just was really resonating with me. So like any good lawyer, I went off and did a diploma in yoga teaching.
Of course, as you do.
I wanted evidence. Why is it so good? Yeah. So that's why I did that. And that course was a 12-month course, and it went into all sorts of philosophy, because yoga is a science. But more than that, it just opened a whole new world up to me. All these different philosophies about how we're connected as humans, and how, you know, we should be thinking from our heart space, and all those things, breathing, you know, really simple things that really connect us to the now moments. And it changed my whole life. Yeah,
well, it sounds like it was life-changing. So, you know, and as you do say, there are no accidents in life, which is something that I really believe. And meeting you has definitely not been an accident. So, you know, these are the conversations that I value having with people, because they also shape my journey and where I'm heading, and that's why I really want to share them with other people. So I think they're so valuable, and hopefully somebody out there will get something from this. But I want to ask you a little bit more about this yoga practice. Because you're called the Zen lawyer, which I totally love. How did you then sort of bring those principles of yoga into your law practice?
Well, this was the difficulty for me, because once I finished the course, my whole way of thinking had changed. And I was talking to other lawyers in this space, which I really commend you for doing this program, because people need to hear this. There are many people out there like me at the time that felt so alone. You thought, I'm the only one that thinks like this. This is crazy. But no, there are a lot of others that do think like this, but everyone's a little bit too scared to come out of the crystal closet, I call it. And you know, it's not all hippie woo-woo stuff. This is real science, and more, science is showing us that all these things, that all these ancient traditions are showing us, are real. They're now provable. So it's been brilliant to bring this into the legal space. But to answer your question, yes, I came back into my law practice and thought, I don't know how I'm going to balance this. I can't reconcile law and yoga. Yoga, or the principles I've learned, which went on to be more than yoga at the end of the day, to separation. Because in law, we divide and conquer. We deal in win, lose, separation. And whereas yoga is about connection, the word yoga means union, to join. Yes. And it just didn't sit with me. So then I went off to look at even wellness models for lawyers, thinking, what is out there? What else is there? And I looked at various our local governing bodies, which said great things to us, like, well, you could eat well, sleep well, drink plenty of water, meditate, or go talk to your supervisor. I thought that was a good one. That was the person probably causing you the grief in the first place in your day job. Go meditate. I thought, you're talking to lawyers. What does that mean?
Yeah,
and
meditate.
So that gave me the idea. I thought, there's not much here at a fundamental level showing us who we are, and why we should be thinking differently. That's why I wrote the book. And and I went on to do like 7 years more research into so many different areas to sort of consolidate all these ways of thinking.
Yeah. So speaking of the book, which has an amazing title, Let's Kiss All the Lawyers Said No One Ever. Tell me a little bit about the book, how it came about, and what is the real sort of essence and message in it?
Sure. Well, I started writing from a perspective of, you know, it's sort of like a text of how to feel better. And I thought, no, that's not going to work. No one's going to read this. Lawyers are depressed. Depression and suicide rates are too high. I've got to make this light and funny. So I did. I wrote it from a place of humour.
Yeah.
And because I thought, look, my reputation is on the line. Yeah. So I've written a sealed section in the middle, which talks about the real essence of us in energetic terms. There's science based in there to say, yes, this is real, people, but you can skip over all that if you don't want to consume any of that information and just, but I can't help it. When people are told you can't read this, they want to read it. That's so I thought that's a good idea. Yes. So I gave people that information, but what I learned later to complete the book was a little bit more about the human unconscious. And that's where my work is really based. Yeah. In that, when we're born as these beautiful humans in perfection. Yeah. But as we go through life, the tribes that we're born into, the cultures, the families, we have to obey rules. And to obey those rules, we do so to be accepted as small children. And this is a whole separate topic, but just in essence, we start disassociating from ourselves, and that causes internal conflict. Now, essentially, we're all wanting happiness in this life. Law is pretty devoid of happiness, whether you're a client or a lawyer. Yeah. So this works on both sides of the fence. So the book is about how a lawyer can find happiness in this space, but it is for anybody because all the principles apply similarly.
Because we're all humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I'm really showing people how you can reconnect with those internal disconnects, because every external conflict you have is arising because you have an internal one. Wow. Now, lawyers, law is about governing relationship. So law is really, it's the first point for people, finding their happy place. It's because we govern relationship, we are looking into relationships all the time. And because your external relationship is a reflection of your internal one, we can, if we're retrained, look at a person that's sitting before us, a client, and say, okay, I can show you what's going on with you. You can self-validate rather than looking to blame others. Yes. Because that's what we often do as lawyers. We're separating people, saying, oh, well, blame so-and-so, blame your spouse, blame the neighbour, blame whoever it is, and we'll defend you, we'll tell you you're right. But a person needs to self-validate and tell themselves they're right, not looking for external validation anymore. Now we've got to start taking self-responsibility, yes, this is the way I see life moving. It's time now to take responsibility for our own actions. No one wants to hear that. but nothing's worked to date. So how about we try it?
Yeah.
And it's in our ability to respond, our responsibility.
Yes.
That puts us into the conflict. So if you can't respond properly to a situation, you'll find yourself in a conflict. Now, your ability to respond is based on your perception. Your perceptions are formed in childhood, generally speaking.
Yes.
And that's what my work is about.
So I love that. I love that. That's really, bringing humanity into the practice of law, taking out that robotic, mechanical way of the way we're supposed to practice, and helping us look at our clients as people, as human beings, and really dealing with them on that level. So I'm just curious, Virginia, if I was curious about, and I'm curious about how you actually put this into practice with your clients, because you're a general practitioner, but I know that you do a lot of family law work. How does that fit in your actual day-to-day practice with a lawyer? How can a lawyer watching this sort of understand how you apply it?
Okay, so when someone comes to you with a conflict, any sort of conflict, you can generally tell what's going on with them internally by the words a person uses, by the situation. He was angry with me. He's an angry person. These are just all reflections of internal conflict going on with yourself. And this is what I'm talking about at the moment. And it is quite a deep subject, but this is why I think in law school we need to be retrained, trained completely differently. And I think I've mentioned it before that presently we're trained in left brain thinking. Analysis, logic, rationale. It's devoid of emotion. Now, relationships are all about emotion. So we're dealing with half a problem, or half the human is dealing with half a problem. I mean, that just cannot work.
No.
Cannot work.
No.
So we have to sit and look at the person or the people involved in the conflict, it's a holistic approach.
Yes.
But the lawyer has to be able to sit in a holistic position themselves. So a lawyer needs to be trained with their own internal conflicts first, because otherwise we're reacting. And this is where a lot of lawyers don't want to deal with a person's emotions. And I've even heard lawyers say, oh no, we don't deal with emotion. They can go off and talk to somebody else. But it's sitting right there in front of you. And people say, no, we're not counsellors. And I say, well, yeah, I think we are. First responders, at least. We're first responders. We can then refer somebody off for better help.
Yes.
We're not, qualified to heal all this sort of, entirely heal an emotion situation. But I have found I could spend 10 minutes with somebody and help them see where their conflict has arisen, because it's in the unconscious.
Yes.
People don't know what they don't know about themselves. Yeah. And the minute something comes to light, and I have a few techniques for this, something comes to light and they're like, oh yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Then their whole perception changes.
Yeah.
Their whole world changes.
Yeah. And that's so true, because, even, when I see family law clients, it's as if they've been sort of stuck in this pattern for a long time, and they come to the lawyer almost wanting that validation, that they are right, that somebody else has wronged them. And we can perpetuate that cycle if we continue to fill that void for them and tell them that everyone has wronged them, they're right, we'll defend you, we'll get there. We don't actually help. I find that we don't help when we do that. I mean, it's very sort of temporary, and we sort of give them that tiny bit of solution. But I see so many clients at the end of a family law matter where we have finished their matter, and they're not happy. There's no closure. They're not satisfied, because the cycle is going to continue, because that's the pattern that they're in.
Because and effectively, yes, what they've done is they've handed the problem over to you. Yes. You've taken it as a lawyer, and you've gone and blamed somebody else. So you've continued their disconnect. You haven't handed it back to them and say, let's look in here and see there's a gift in here for you. And this is how you heal. And this is a healing modality.
Yes.
And we don't do the healing. They heal themselves.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yes. Yes, I love that. And I've heard you say that it is a healing modality, and we unite communities. I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff when we think about ourselves as, those agents for uniting communities and healing people, rather than sort of fighting your battle for you. But I want to ask you another question. This is something that a lot of lawyers talk about, and that is this adversarial system that we've got. how do you see this blaming others and fighting the fight for the client playing out as far as solicitors and their relationships with colleagues and other other solicitors goes? Because things can get a little bit, what are your views on that sort of, where can we get help there, if that makes sense?
As lawyers?
Yes.
You mean?
As lawyers with other lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where we need to be trained in our own internal connection, because I've often have lawyers come to me saying, in court, I've got the bully lawyer on the other side.
Yeah.
We just have to recognize the bully is disconnected from themselves.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with you. It's about that person. And it's how you react. Mm-hmm. So if I reacted to a bully, then I have some work to do. It's about my response.
Yes. Very
all
true.
About me.
Very true. Very true.
And that's what we all have to learn. It's our own ability to respond, our responsibility.
Yeah.
People don't want to take responsibility. That's the bottom line. Everyone's looking for the external solution, but it's not. It's all within. And it's kind of similar to this above the line, below the line thinking theory, where below the line, and I find that a lot of us as lawyers are very below the line all the time, where we do blame and we sort of hand over the responsibility to somebody else. Somebody else did this to you, to the client, to me, this bully, and we don't really look within. So that's why I always say awareness is key. That piece about becoming aware of your own internal conflicts, as you say, what drives you, what motivates you, and even understanding your unconscious patterns and behavior is the first step. Otherwise, you can't really help anybody else. You've got to really be able to... Oxygen mask on.
I was just going to say, yeah, so that we can be effective in what we do. Because I find that unfortunately, what happens is a lot of the times the lawyer's ego gets involved. And a lot of the time it stops being about the client, and it's more about their reputation or their identity. Yeah, exactly right.
And it's all about our own identity. This is the thing. We are born into these families, tribes. We create the identity there. We go out into the world. You see, the identity kept us safe when we were young.
Yeah.
Because we were going to be loved, accepted, survive in that environment.
Yeah.
So we know where those patterns have kept us safe. Why would we change them?
Yeah.
It makes sense. So you go out into the world and you see, wow, people actually do it differently out here. And it's scary. And it's a non-acceptance, internal non-acceptance, reflecting in external non-acceptance.
Yeah.
I don't accept you. You're different to me.
Yes.
And that's the inner conflict reflected outside of us.
Wow. Wow, so true. So tell me, Virginia, about some of the work that you're doing with lawyers, or, I had a quick look on your website. What sort of stuff are you doing to try to shift this paradigm and create a bit of a change?
Yeah, look, I've been doing a few talks with people and just showing some basic wellness situations. I'm trying to sort of help law firms show. There's another whole model I'm working with right now too about fractals and showing people that how the energy within a space perpetuates the same energy unless we change it. So each person within an energetic space is basically a small fractal of that space. So if you say get into a major law firm,
yep,
everyone's really tense and it's all dog eat dog, everyone walks with that energy. So to change it, we need to start shifting the energy within each individual until we get to a critical mass.
Yeah.
And then you'll change the energy of the whole establishment. Look, I mean, that's another big topic that for another day, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. Part 2.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a whole lot of different stuff there we're working with, all in the same principles though.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm doing that. I'm also doing a TEDx at the end of the month.
Awesome.
Basically talking about how lawyers, I say, are trained to break a fundamental law of human connection. So
wow.
I think that's really important. So yes, perhaps not a lot of people are going to like what I'm saying, but this model we've been working with isn't working for the client or the lawyer.
Yeah.
Nobody is happy. Yeah, you can't say, a client will come to you, you look at their case, say, yeah, here's your winning hand. The other lawyer says, here's your winning hand. But how can both sides win in a win-lose model? Doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
No. So that's where I say that things have got to shift, and we've got to look at both sides, both perspectives are right. How can we make it work for the two of you in the conflict and show you the gold in there? That's why it's conflict alchemy. It's
so valuable, so valuable. I'm just going to ask you this one last question to sort of close us off with: is where do you see the future of the legal profession sort of going? Do you see this stuff becoming a bit more mainstream? That do you see us thinking differently? What's your vision?
I see it differently because that's how I see things. I was so inspired by a quote I found from Gandhi, who said that the true function of a lawyer is to unite parties riven asunder.
Wow.
And it's from that point that I take my vision. I believe not all lawyers will go on this path, but there will be a great shift. I see so many young lawyers right now looking for something more. They want fulfillment. They want to be able to serve the community. Yes, you can still get paid for your job. It's got nothing to do with that. But being of service is fulfilling. And everybody wins in this model. Everyone. People walk away from their conflicts thinking, wow, I just learned a lot about myself. It's changed my life.
Beautiful. How do people get a copy of your book? Where do we go?
Amazon.com.au.
Okay, cool. We'll put some links up in the post as well, so that people, and we'll put the link for the Zen Lawyer as well. Thank you so much, Virginia, for having a conversation with me today. It was lovely to speak to you as always. And maybe there will be a part 2, so hang about, and we'll come back and share some more insights. So thanks again.
I want to say to you as well, really thank you for doing this, because the more people that are talking, the more energy is increasing out there. It's just really beautiful. So thank you.
I'm hoping, that's that drop in the ocean, and the ripple effect hopefully will spread everywhere. So thank you. Okay, so we'll see you again soon. Bye.